I've known Kerriann a long time now. We've been friends for many years. I think I initially met her probably around, I want to say 2008 maybe. She had contacted me like many other investigation teams have over the decades I've been here. There was something different about her, something earnest about her voice. She's just so genuine. People just love to just see her and listen to her talk. She's one of those people too. Is also she investigates. She actually goes to the scene and does investigations and talks to the people, and it really brings a lot of validity to all of her talks. You know, she's actually on site talking to the people who actually witness these things firsthand and secondhand, and I think they really get a kick out of it. Plus, she's just such a great speaker. She's just so wonderful at what she does. I was very happy with how the stories came out. Not only I couldn't have been more honored and more happy than in the first book, Ghosts of Long Island, with the actual opening chapter to the book. We had so much fun doing it. I had no idea how well it was going to be received and stuff. We had them here, we would sell them and we'd sign them. I think we did one of her book signings here with that book and another book, and even her newest tour we kicked off here this year. And she's not just a ghostwriter though. I mean, she's a real historian. She's won awards for a lot of her novels and stuff. She was voted best novelist in Long Island and stuff. I mean, she's just an amazing writer. But again, she researches everything and she makes the books real and fun to read. We did a couple of our book openings and the signings here. They were so well received. She's so popular. She sells out wherever she goes. You know, she's just so well known on Long Island, and any venue she goes to, she sells out. We've done a lot of things together over the years, and we've done radio shows together, which I was so nervous about. It went like that. It was an hour show. I was like, I don't know what we'll talk about. It was over before we knew it. It was like a blink. When she and I, and we don't have any script, when she and I get together, it's like we feed off each other's conversations. And it just goes and continues and snowballs and grows, and working and doing anything with her is always a lot of fun. If you ever get a chance to go to any of her seminars or lectures or book signings, or if you get a chance to read any of her novels, you will not be disappointed. She's enjoyable, she's fast, fun reading. If you get a chance to actually meet her, she's so engaging. You'll feel like you're friends when you leave.
I met Kerriann kind of inadvertently at a wine tasting. That was around 2006. She was speaking about her upcoming book, and she said she had room in her book to do another interview of another building and circumstance, and that she was writing her stories based in history, and that she was interested in stories about ghosts and the paranormal. From my perspective, I was intrigued that she was a historian first, and that she based her stories in fact, truthfully, in fact, and that meant a lot to me, because that's how I look into historic buildings. Where are the facts? How can we straighten the history out and clarify through the facts? And then I did share with her that we have learned at that time fairly recently that there were ghost stories passed down through generations by family members, and they had been shared to myself and to our historian, Mary E. Field, who at the time was just completing a book on the Murch's Bay area, and she was very intrigued that we had an author and an opportunity to get our story in a book, and it would be credibly based in history, and Mary was happy to share the stories that she had heard about the ghosts in the building through family members who had owned the building over the years. And that was basically the beginning of our relationship. Kerriann came here and interviewed the building. She was with Joe Giaquinto, and they spent a considerable amount of time here and reviewed all the stories again. And we gave her several names of other people who had experiences here, so she could get it from a most direct source as possible, that is with the ghost stories. And she followed through, and the article is terrific, and it showed up in her book, Ghosts of Long Island 2, and we're very grateful for that. Kerriann's ability to put all the story pieces together is a pretty remarkable thing. The stories read easily, and I reference her books for people who are interested to learn more about the history of the Ketchum Inn, specifically, and other historic buildings here on Long Island. And they need that type of fact-based history to be shared with the general public. A lot of history gets misconstrued over the years. Kerriann clarifies it. Kerriann, and her knowledge of history, and based here on Long Island, she does a terrific job. She reviews every project for historic facts, and she puts them together and writes a terrific story based in fact. And that always supported my consideration for working with her and going forward with telling her our stories. And as a result, she's produced a couple of very wonderful books that share truthful history of Long Island based in the historic buildings or historic sites or the people involved and the ghost stories that might be involved or some level of paranormal that's involved in these buildings. And they are put together in a terrific manner. And I support her effort.
I believe Kerriann and I have known each other for, I would say, close to maybe 20 years or so, give or take a few years. And I first discovered Kerriann when she began her first books about Huntington and Huntington Station, and she was writing history books about different communities. And I believe it was Huntington, and that's when I first discovered her books and became intrigued. And then as a journalist, I have a deep appreciation and love for Long Island history, and I was assigned to cover Long Island history. I was very happy to have that assignment, and I used Kerriann as a person to speak about Long Island history because she was someone who was writing books about Long Island history. She was well-spoken. She was excited about it. She had a great passion. And we always say Kerriann looks great on camera and sounds great on camera. So I would use her for my history segments, especially a segment called Long Island's Hidden Past. The way Kerriann uses the ghost stories to tell history is very unique, and it's exciting, and it's something people always love to hear about. Maybe they don't actually believe the stories, but there's always that story, that folklore, that myth, that legend that people love to find out. Kerriann and I've been across Long Island covering ghost stories, and we've had a lot of fun. They include Sagdacost Manor and the Indian Princess, a store in Cold Spring Harbor that had an old owner that used to hang around and allegedly watch from the window. We've been to lighthouses together. We've been to cemeteries. We've had a really great time. And what I love about what Kerriann does is she makes sure you get the history. It's not just about the ghost story. What I love about the way Kerriann tells the story is it's user-friendly. She's well-researched. She knows her topics, but she also does it in a very respectful way. She honors the lives that were lived in the homes, the people that were buried in the cemeteries, the stories that have been passed down. She has deep respect for those lives, and it shows. And what's also wonderful about Kerriann's books, she brings attention to the places on Long Island that need to be preserved, and the volunteers that work so hard to keep Long Island history alive. And she just has a great quality of combining all of that when she does public speaking and does her book events, that people are just drawn to her. They love her. They want more. Kerriann is well respected as a historian. She is thorough. She takes it very seriously. So don't let the ghost thing fool you. She is well researched, and she knows what she's talking about. I just want to say that Kerriann is a beautiful person inside and out. She's a dear friend, a respected colleague, and I just hope that she can continue doing what she does because she's such a gift to Long Island.